So here we go, starting a new series. So this is supposed to be a series of shorter videos about another one of my favorite medias, video games, and mainly talking about specific elements where I think the video game wasted something. Not that I think these games are all bad, but as a video game or game designer myself, I hate to see wasted potential. So, Destiny is a 2014 first-person shooter that has both a story mode with multiplayer elements and a straight-up multiplayer PvP, but mainly sells itself as a story game. That's what all the marketing was for and everything. And if you look at the footage of the game being played or even some cutscenes, it looks awesome. Like, just darn good graphics, the locations and the characters all look great, especially for a game this old. I was extremely hyped for this game, just looking at all of the elements and trailers and everything and seeing some of the cutscenes. But after you've played the game or seen some reviews, you'll find that the game is kind of unsatisfying, especially as a story game. Destiny did pretty well, and even me playing it after its prime, I was surprised to see, that there are a lot of players still playing. So I thought there has to be something here that's, keeping all these players around, something worth playing. But after looking and asking around some, I found that pretty much everybody who still plays wasn't there for the story, they were there for the multiplayer. So why? Why was the story so underwhelming? Well, after about 7 playthroughs over a period of 6 years, I think I've pinned it down to one thing. Or at least one main thing. So, style over substance. If you've played the game, you probably know what I'm talking about. Like I said, the game looks great. It has so much atmosphere. I've spent hours just looking around the locations and finding amazing details and little lore bits, and honestly, it's an amazing achievement on the game developer's end. But the story is practically non-existent. There is a clear story, but there's no characters you care about and no really investment into the story. I think one of the worst things they did on this end is taking all these characters that could have been, at least remotely interesting and making them into people you just have to go to get a mission or to get a certain reward or objective. And not even like fun, interesting cutscenes with dialogue, but just like a little menu with like a one-off line. The story overall leaves a lot of loose ends, like these characters who seem like they should be important, and even like, this entire area that you unlock with them. Like they have a build-up, they have a little cutscene. It seems really important, but then it ends up being pretty much completely useless without a DLC. And they throw in like practically a huge curveball in there, and then like they don't explain it at all without said DLC. Now DLCs aren't the end-all of a good story. Take like Spider-Man PS4 for example. This is in my opinion one of the best story games I've ever played, and they have DLCs, but the story that they present as the story of the game is complete. You feel completely satisfied by the end of the story, and it makes you want to go buy the DLCs to get more of that story, but you have almost no incentive to buy the DLCs here because the story already isn't good, so why would you buy more of it? In the end, I think Destiny has some great elements, and it's definitely a game that you should play at least once, but it really dropped the ball. The story that's there is kind of non-existent and lazy, and while the only thing they pretty much have going for it, because the main mechanics of the game are pretty basic, just like any first-person shooter, especially ones that came out around this time, the only thing it really has going for it is the really nice graphics and atmosphere and areas, and that's fine, but not if you value it over the substance of the actual game. The stuff that's actually important, especially if you're selling yourself as a story game, you need to have a solid story. You need to have more than just nice looking elements. Like, you have these elements, but why? So, in the end, I'm playing through Destiny 2, so we'll see if that has a better story. But, Remember to value substance just as much as style. You want to find that perfect balance in your game, and sometimes even you can do substance more than style, because there are some darn good games with not very good graphics. But at the end of the day, don't waste your potential, and make a good video game.